The Scott Ryfun Radio Show.
Sorry, still laughing at it. Hey, how are you? Good morning. Wow, listen to that. Hang on a second. I gotta cut the mic down here for just a moment. I'm especially a little phlegmy today. I'm gonna blame it on G-Man, actually. Because G-Man has decided he's gonna get serious about looking at houses. And we went and checked out a house yesterday that whew, um, let's just say G-Man's looking more for bargains than anything else. And I think he was disabused of that notion yesterday. But that I just the like I had to change shirts after we got home last night because whatever funk there was in that house just kind of stayed with me, which was not good. That's what I'm going to tell you. Anyway, hey, how are you? Good morning. Yeah, so I think I'm a little whatever that was that happened. I knew last night. I was like, "That's going to stay with me. This is going to be here forever and ever and ever." So let's see. Let's see what we've got here. We've got Paul McClellan giving us our thumbs up again. It is not a morning unless that thumb is up there. Good morning to you, Mikey Nip. Good morning to you, number 8. Good morning, Holy Ghost Trucker. And there you go. There's the Dothan Bureau Chief doing his thing. Good morning. Can you possibly have Bill Edwards on as a guest on the program whenever the new program on air begins? You're both very talented. Savannah misses you both on the air. I would be very willing to bet that Bill Edwards would agree to do that. Bill Edwards has been nothing but golden to me. Bill Edwards has been nothing, despite my show got picked to replace him, and the reality again of that is that they were going to replace him no matter what, which is it's one of those things. If I knew that it was we'll replace him with Ryfun and then we'll get rid of him, but they actually let him go before they even asked me to do it. If there'd been any other alternative, I would have refused it, if it had saved his job, but it wasn't. I mean, he was gone already. But I think a lot of people didn't see it that way because they didn't know. But behind the scenes, Bill was, just supportive, advice, encouragement. When I did things on the air that he thought were good, he would sit there and send me a text. He would, just really, and when he was doing a podcast after he got off the air, I would go on breaks and watch some of that with him and Brittany. And I would love to have him on. I would love to put him on. Yeah, I couldn't at iHeart. But this is a different ball of wax. So yeah, that's a good idea, actually. Howdy from North Carolina. Howdy, 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 as they say. James, morning. All right. A lot of good mornings here. Yes. Look at that. Even curmudgeonly Harry James says good morning this morning. It's great. Brad, way up there. You're in the North Georgia mountains, or are you traveling? I forget. I think you're traveling. All right. Morning from 22. Good morning. Look at all these mornings. This is great. Awesome. Everybody's jumping in. Thank you. Good to have you guys here. I love doing this. This is kind of neat. Now, Menorcan Mullet says, and that was one of the things I wanted to open with today. There is a wreck on 17 in front of Lanier Plaza. We believe it involves an RV that's kind of been hanging out in various places that aren't great for it to be hanging out, like on the side of the St. Simon's Causeway. I'm sorry, on the side of the C word. And in the Sam's parking lot and stuff like that. So just kind of, and that thing may have taken care of itself as a situation this morning, but just know they're actually rerouting traffic through that Lanier Plaza parking lot right now to get things going, to keep things moving right now on 17. So if that's part of your commute, hey, at least it's not the C word. At least it's, this is a better thing, but still not good. And we certainly hope everybody's safe. We hope everybody's okay, uninjured. Brad, we are so glad to see that you are here and alive, and that surgery went well, and that you are now ablation free. Isn't that how that works? Ricky Smith, good morning. And the Klimps at Island Dog, which is an absolutely wonderful, wonderful place that has probably the best ever dog treat ever, ever, ever. If you have a dog and you want the treat for them, you will go to Island Dog and get chicken chips. And I will tell you this, it's cheaper to get chicken chips at Island Dog than it is at to go to like Amazon or something and get them, because Amazon has them, but it's actually cheaper to go to Island Dog. Plus, you get to talk to the Klimps, and they're great people. So it all works out. Sir, it is wonderful to have you here. Wait a minute, 46? 46? See, I don't know much about this stuff. I just thought you'd have like one or two, and that would be that. My goodness. My goodness. Who's in charge? There's a funny thing about that. I used to, I mentioned the other day when we were talking about this whole thing that I do, a little speech. I'll go speak to civic clubs and stuff like that. And I don't really have a speech right now, but I would do a speech and I'd put it together and I'd give it to 3 or 4 different clubs. And I've got a lot of ideas, but I don't have anything fleshed out, really ready to go. But one of the ones I used to do was talking about big corporations, and it was always my feeling that there are certain beasts that are just too big. They're just too large to really be run well and efficiently. And I think the U.S. government's one of those. I think iHeart is one of those as well. And I had come to that conclusion while I was still working for them, not before, not afterwards. It's not because I actually worked this in to one of my talks with civics groups, and I would bring 2 printed out iHeart Media logos, or maybe iHeart Radio logos. Either way, it's largely the same logo minus one word. But and I would hold them up for people, and I would say, okay, one of these is the correct logo. One of them I was chewed out by someone above me for using. Can you tell the difference? And nobody in all of it. I probably used that at 3 different places where I spoke. Never once could anybody tell me the difference. I got up close with them. Here are the 2 pieces. Can you tell me the difference between the 2? And what it was the heart in one version was pointy at the bottom, and one version was kind of rounded. And I got let have it one time for using the pointy version when in fact the proper version is the rounded version. And first off, when you are spending that kind of time tweaking your logo to that micro degree, that one day it's the pointy one, but then after that it should not be the pointy one; it should be the rounded one. You've got a group of people who are just, they've got too much time on their hands. And honestly, I think the pointy one makes more sense, as like logic would dictate that if there were an eye in front of an actual heart, what it would carve out would be pointy, not rounded. But what do I know? And what does logic have to do with anything? But yeah, the pointy logo versus the rounded logo. When you're obsessed with things to that minute degree, but then there are just gigantic, large operational things that aren't happening right, that's an issue. Can I get a number? It's like, can I get a witness? Yeah, you can. Let's see. I got to bring up the spreadsheet. I am remiss in my duties. And so, Jim, you are officially, this will be the first of 3 possible ones that we'll give out. You are officially 161. What's nice about doing that in this format, by the way, is that we have people chiming in and entering the discussion that we've never had participate really on the program. Outside of the program, sure, emails and that kind of thing, but right here now. So that's neat. Happy Friday to you as well. The one being held, you're talking about the RV? Yeah, that I think that's the RV. From what I'm hearing, that is the RV that is involved in the incident. Maybe, don't have that officially, but yeah, that's what I'm hearing is involved in that incident on 17. But again, at least it's not an incident on the C word. That's the important part. Wow. But yeah, it's toast. And good morning, of course. Good morning from the band card. Morning. And Drury gives us one of those. Ed, great pressure wash guy. By the way, speaking of people who provide wonderful services, and Ed has done pressure washing for me a couple of times, and it is. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how he subsists. No, because he does a really good job. He takes the proper amount of time to do it well and do it right. And then when he charges, you go, that's it? Really? Okay. All right. So Ed does pressure washing like a beast. Speaking of people who do nice things, I got to tell you, we've had a long-standing relationship with Grace Landscaping and Irrigation, and those guys, since all of this has happened, have been absolute champions for me. And Tony and his squad out there, I can't say enough about them. They're just fantastic. And and Tony has told me whatever we do next, however we do it, whatever we're doing, he wants to be part of it. So I'm glad for that. I will tell you also, a lot of other landscapers have reached out and said, we know you have a relationship with Grace, but we would also like to be part of what you do next. But Tony has just been a champ, an absolute champ, and Grace have been absolute champs. And so there is no doubt that we will partner with them in whatever we're doing. No doubt about that. Let's see. We got some more good mornings. And of course, yes, we'll be talking about the poker run on the 25th at some point this morning. I promise you. Good morning. Happy Friday, or maybe low prep Friday. Let's see. Philip, thank you very much. Philip, Philip gifted me at one of our South Georgia 40 tour stops. Gifted me a tuner that is sitting on the headstock of the guitar. I will say the guitar that I'm using most these days, but I'll be honest with you. And it was one of those things that I said, oh yeah, now that I'm looking for work and that kind of thing, and looking for, the next thing and trying to put the next thing together, what am I going to do? I bet I'll have more time to play my guitar now. I haven't picked up the guitar in 2 weeks. I have not picked up that guitar in the entire time since I got the call. I have not been able to touch I really thought one thing that would happen would be I would have more time to play the guitar. But it turns out to have been exactly the opposite. I have not been able to pick that thing up. And it's actually kind of frustrating. But I mean, that's literally the way things are going right now, is like it's phone call, email. It's all day, every day, just about. Very little downtime right now. But I mean, that's a good thing because we're building two things. But I will tell you, Philip, I've got massive use. I'm getting kind of lazy because I've always tuned by ear. And, because what I'll do is what I will do is I will tune to Lick It Up, to be honest with you. I'll put Lick It Up on. I'll tune the A to the A because it just rides an A forever and a day on that song. Just ding, 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 ding. And so I usually just tune to that and then tune everything else to that A string. But since you put that tuner in my hands, it's just been like, okay, I'll just do this and go through it. And it's quicker and easier, but it's probably making me less of a probably making me dumber in some way intellectually, but I've been enjoying using it. I'll say that. The pointy version of the logo could hurt somebody. And I almost, it's funny you say that because I almost kind of believe that that's why the change was made. Not that it would actually hurt someone, but people go, pointy things people think of them as harsh. And I don't know if we need harsh things on the logo. I can see that conversation being had. It would be like the Gremlins 2 and Daniel Clamp going over all of the things about the new Clamp Center. What people see elms, they think Dutch disease. Headed to Island Dog today to pick up some chicken. I will tell you, it is. If you have never done it before, it is. I will say I have encountered dogs because I give them out like when we're at Porch doing the coaches shows. Because there's always dogs at Porch. I give them out at Porch. I take them with me because I was, if there's a dog on hand, I want to be friends with a dog, and take them to the chili cook-off. And all the time that I've done this, I have encountered some dogs who don't really care for the chicken chips, but I will tell you much more often than not, the chicken chips wind up being a huge, huge thing for the dog. The dogs just are crazy about it. Absolutely crazy about it. So just something there for you. Don't forget also, by the way, good morning. Happy Friday, Debbie. And Debbie is on Facebook. But I do remind people, as Gary says, good morning. He is on YouTube. You know, we're trying to get to 1,000 total. And yesterday, this was kind of neat. Yesterday, we were on the verge of 800 or 700, excuse me. And we actually stuck around long enough to get to 700. And I said, okay, well, our next goal is 800. Hopefully we'll do that in several days. Well, we may do it today. We may do it during the broadcast today. So go subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is literally youtube.com @Scott Rifen, because we're at 788 now. We hit 700 at the end of yesterday's stream, and we're already at 788. And again, we really need to get to 1,000. But just know that we're right there. So if you can subscribe on YouTube, please do. Doesn't mean you have to watch it on YouTube, but subscribing gets us somewhere. When you get to 1,000, apparently there's something good happens with the algorithm that really boosts us a lot. 149 here. Thank you. Dan the man, 162. All right. Dan's going to get it. Dan's going to get it. Let's see. And I told you I'm not giving out more than 3 a day. So that having been said, Roger, and boy, you want to talk about somebody who deserves a number. And Roger has called. You know, the question is, you know, should people be getting numbers if they don't call? And I think if they participate in this discussion, they should. But Roger has called as well. So, and Roger shows up at trivia very, very regularly. So there you go. Gene, good morning. I'm going to come down to Buc-ee's tomorrow for some of this brisket burrito. Go for it. Absolutely go for it. The guys at WGIG are not going to keep up with any local incidents. That's right. And so they do not know that there is a wreck on 17 that is messing people up. Good morning from Kern from Greenland. Good job. Is this Low Prep Friday? Of course it's Low Prep Friday. What are you kidding me? Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you, Carla. Let's see. Want to let you know I took the iHeart Yacht Rock channel off of my Roku favorites list. That'll teach them. All right, let's see. Dare I ask for a number? And yes, I live up in Helen on the Chattahoochee River. You should get a number. You've called, but I've already given out 3 for today. But you'll be there. Low prep. Well, no, I mean I've got prep. We've just been having so much good discussion back and forth. I haven't even gotten to it yet. We will. I'll get to it. I'll get there. Low Prep Friday, play something for us during the show. Oh, you want me to play the guitar during the show? Oh, no one wants that. Listen to radio. Oh, I'm so sorry about that because I hate that that's a thing. But I will tell you, things are working towards my being back on the airwaves in both Brunswick and Savannah. So let's just say that. Just know. Friday should be known as Fishing Prep Day. Well, for a lot of people. Thank you. I'm not sure how to take that one. Morning, Bobby. So you can't leave today till we get to 800. Yeah, well, that's, I'm thinking we should make the push for 800, and it shouldn't be that tough of a push since yesterday we were pretty easily, we're at 790 already. So yeah, we could do that. Don't leave the tuner on your headstock. Like standard, it will leave a mark that can be seen under a black light. I did not know this. It is on my headstock, and it's on the headstock of my really pretty sparkly blue Tommy Thayer Les Paul. So I should do that. Oh yeah, you definitely deserve a number. We'll get you one. YouTube subscriber 790. Very nice. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it very much. Who's going to call a football game? I don't know. I don't know where they're going to be broadcast, to be honest with you. I will tell you this. I don't think this is, some things I feel like you can say and some things you can't say because some things you will ruin things that are in progress when you do say them out loud. I did have a brief conversation with Steve Waters yesterday. And it was brief, and we're going to talk more next week. He was in Dallas doing something for the athletic department. It was really heartening to me in the conversation I had with him, because he essentially is just kind of, he just wants me to take them and do something with them, basically. But I don't really have the capability on my own personally to do that. And what I may do is try to get in the middle of making the deal with somebody somewhere based on things he wants. One of the things he told me he wants yesterday is he does not want it to just be internet. He wants it to be on broadcast. So that's going to be tough, because there's some people who do internet pretty well, who I know want on board. But we'll see. Again, it's a thing it'll take time. But I shouldn't even be involved in it. Honestly, I shouldn't even have the discussion. But I guess because we've done it for so long and we've been able to do it well and we've had success, that Steve, I think, is just kind of relying on me to help him through this. But I will also tell you, the first thing I told him was, you need to reach out to iHeart and ask them if they're planning on honoring the contract. See, that's the thing, is we had a 3-year deal. This was going to be year 3 of the 3-year contract with them. And I don't think the people who are left understand that there is a contract. There were a number of us who are gone, because, again, my immediate supervisor is also gone, who were very aware of the contract. I don't know that everybody way up the chain who made these decisions is aware that we have a contract, that we have a proposal, an accepted proposal, which is basically a contract. So, I don't know. I will say this. I would love to continue doing the games. I'd love to continue broadcasting it, because it's hard work. It's hard work, the George W. Bush thing. But it's fulfilling and enjoyable at the same time. I don't know how to describe it, but it's a thing I'd like to continue doing. Time to do something today, your futures. Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it. Believe me. Local YouTuber on St. Simons has 500,000 subscribers. Well, there you go. I guess I got to figure that out, don't I? Morning from Jessup, Mr. Blocker. We've had Emperor Rifen. Yeah, I set up this thing so long ago. Will out of town people be able to get your new radio? It depends on where out of town you're talking about. Look, I will never not be on the internet at this point as well. So I'm not gonna, like, when I say I'm gonna go back on the airwaves, I'm gonna be back on the air in Brunswick and Savannah as soon as we can get it to happen. And there are some really good talks happening and going in exactly the direction I'd like them to go in. That having been said, I'm not going to abandon this, because I'm going to own this program, and I'm going to own the program, and I'm going to generate it, and it's always going to be on the internet, but it may also be on the radio, and hopefully it will be. Pilot for the right. We're good. We're in good. I've been able to save. We've been able to put some things back. We're making some things happen. Like in the first day or two, there was a lot of just clamp down on everything, start shutting down, cancel everything you can, and all that. But we sat back and looked at it, and went, we'll make it. We're going to be okay. And especially as I started putting some numbers together for the next chapter, and low ball numbers, I think we're going to be in a good place. Good. Well, we'll see. You're commenting from there, so I think you did probably do the right thing. Happy Friday. I will look at that. So when does G-Man start doing local news again? There's a good question. I don't know. I will tell you that, he was not. The paperwork I got the other day was so awesome, because it literally said there were a number of iHeart employees who were selected. iHeart had an employee termination program, and a number of employees were selected to participate in the program. And I was selected to participate in the program, and he was not selected to participate in the program. But that having been said, I think he turned in his resignation a day or two ago. And of course, it's same with me. They have to put together paperwork and send it to you, and so on and so forth. So it's not yet, but and I really haven't had the discussion about him doing it, but I know, when this whole thing happened, he kind of went, well, that's a little bit of money I'm not going to make now. And I think that frustrated him because he is looking for a house. So if we put together a model where there's money to pay him to do that, then we'll pay him to do it. And I feel like he'll agree to it because I think he wanted to replace that money. And last, before we get into some real content here, because we haven't done any real content here, do you want your 6A to 10A time slot when back on the air? Really no. I mean, yes and no. Yeah, I'm going to do 6 to 9. And the reason for that is the slot people do for talk in the mornings. That is the actual time slot most people do. We did it a little differently in Brunswick, but in Savannah it was 6 to 9, and it had been 3 hours before. It was just 7 to 10, and then we expanded it for a couple of reasons. But 6 to 9 is what I'm targeting, and one of the reasons I'm targeting that is I'll be honest with you, I'm experiencing some swelling and stuff like that, and had been for a month or two before everything fell. And it was one of those things where I would start the show strong, but by the 9 o'clock hour, I sounded like Matt Pinfield. It was really, really bad. So, or Sam White after he had his problems. So, I want to cut back an hour anyway because, well, there's a variety of reasons, but one is because I want to protect my voice. One is that, I want to do other things during the day and work on other projects, and an extra hour on the air, which is in defiance of most talk radio. It doesn't make sense. And especially, because one of the things we are going to do is make the program available. It's going to be available in Brunswick. It's going to be available in Savannah, and we're going to offer it to other towns in Southeast Georgia. And if we expand to Southwest Georgia, that's fine. If we expand to Middle Georgia, that's fine. But I was just having talk with some folks last night, and kind of the thought is, let's make it work for Brunswick and Savannah, and then once it does that, we can expand it and make it, keep it Georgia focused, and that kind of thing, but possibly make it available to other stations who could need it. And there are, due to some terrible tragic things and just due to some weird quirks of the business, there are some opportunities to do that right now. There's not a Georgia focused syndicated program on in the mornings, and there were 6 months ago a couple. So it's actually, 6 to 9 would make sense, because if we were going to spread it to other stations, they're not going to take that 9 to 10 hour anyway. So I would be damaging my voice for very little return. So and the model I put together from minute one, when I started putting numbers to paper, I started off with a 3-hour model because I was starting to have some thoughts even before all the hammer dropped and everything. I was starting to have some doubts about 6 to 10. I don't think it was good for me from a health perspective, just because it wasn't working out well for me. I'll just say that. All right, let's do a couple of things, because I got this yesterday. Where is my all on Camden, or all things Camden? There. No, that's not it. That's a weird one though. We'll get to that one. Do I not have my, I don't have my, oh no. Really? I could have sworn I put that up last night. Oh no. Okay. Well, All Things Camden reported yesterday that the Jamarly Riddle charges have been dropped. And I spoke to a police officer yesterday with the Glen Caney Police Department who felt like he got kicked in the teeth. Now, All Things Camden, and I'm kind of gut punched here that I didn't have the graphic there because I created it. But All Things Camden, it's allthingscamden.com. They have a newsletter. To read the story, you have to sign up for the newsletter. But I will say they went a long way to generate goodwill with me. So I'm going to recommend you sign up for All Things Camden if you have an interest in All Things Camden. But here's the story. The felony drug charges filed against University of Georgia defensive back and Camden Caney High School graduate Jamarly Riddle have been dropped. Glenn County District Attorney's Office has declined to prosecute the Kingsland native, that's they null prostate, on 2 felony drug counts tied to his May 8th arrest in Brunswick, according to court documents obtained by the Athens Banner Herald. Prosecutors filed the dismissal paperwork with the Superior Court of Glenn County on July 6th. Riddle was originally arrested on Friday, May 8th, along I-95 near Brunswick, according to the police report obtained by Scott Rifen. Says it right in the article. And by the way, and here's where I said they went and generated goodwill with me, was when they mentioned my name, which is great. They gave me credit for breaking the story, which I did. But they didn't credit the station, which is what most people did when they credited it when the story first came out, and that made sense. But the reality was the station didn't do it. I did it. I did the legwork. I did I wrote it up. I put it out there. And it was funny when it broke, I was tracking, who's actually giving me credit and who's just stealing my stuff. And it was about 50-50 on the reporting, but the good reporters and the good sites were crediting my work and the bad sites were not. So that officially, to me, makes All Things Camden a good site. An undercover Glenn County detective observed a red Dodge Durango weaving through traffic at roughly 95 miles an hour near mile marker 44. When officers stopped the vehicle, the report noted an odor of marijuana. Riddle consented to a search and a canine unit conducted a free air sniff. An assisting officer located a heat-sealed bag inside a backpack in the back seat that contained packaging with a leafy substance labeled marijuana and vapes marked THC, per the arrest report. Riddle was booked at the Glenn County Detention Center and charged with possession of more than 1 ounce of marijuana and possession of a Schedule I controlled substance, both felonies, along with misdemeanor speeding. He posted bonds totaling $16,526 that same day. I wonder if that was NIL money. With the dismissal this week, the felony charges no longer stand. Georgia's football program said in May it was aware of the charges and was actively gathering additional information, which may mean they were reaching out to contributors to write checks. Riddle is a familiar name in Camden County. He was a standout for the Wildcats, contributing on offense, defense, and special teams before signing with East Carolina. Earned first-team All-AAC honors in 2025, then transferred to Georgia in January, and is expected to compete in the Bulldogs secondary this fall. With the case now resolved, Riddle set to be available when Georgia opens its season against Tennessee State at Sanford Stadium on September 5th. Isn't that great? Meanwhile, people who drive 100 miles an hour and have drugs all in their car and admit to it, by the way. I mean, I don't know if you've seen all the reports on it, but he pretty much went, yeah, I got marijuana. And that seems to, I don't know, that would seem to indicate that he did, in fact, have marijuana. But it's amazing that they would just drop this. And you don't like to think that, well, the Bulldogs came down and did their thing, and, because Lord knows they've got enough issues to deal with, people getting arrested these days. It's funny because I still have people in South Georgia, when they find out I went to Florida State, oh, the criminals. Hey, y'all are the criminals. Because of an incident that happened 28 years ago. Literally, like, nobody on the team was born when it happened. And yet there's been over 30 arrests in the Georgia program, and they just kind of, oh, Kirby. And it's like, guys, there's some problems in that program. I hate to tell you. There are some real problems. And you can admit it or not admit it, but it's there. Let's see. Oh, when are we going to hear from Lauren Nobles? That's a good question. And don't know. I've talked to him. I have talked to him. Yeah, there you go. Go Dogs. No sooner do I say it. You guys are awesome. Okay, so let's get into some of this other stuff. But yeah, the Jamarly Riddle thing should not have been dropped. I'm sorry. I don't care. It's just dumb. But talk about dumb. Check this out. Ethics complaint fallout leads to confrontation in Bloomington. Where did the confrontation happen? at a pizza place. Grace Rodriguez, WJCL. A dispute between a Bloomingdale City Council member and a restaurant owner has prompted calls for an investigation. Christina Kimker, owner of Roma Pizza, said the confrontation began after she criticized the city's handling of an ethics complaint involving city administrator Charles Akridge on social media. Kimker said the complaint stemmed from private Facebook messages Akridge sent to a resident after a disagreement over the city's splash pad opening date. Now, when I think of things that you have big disagreements with the government and the governmental officials lash out at you, city splash pad opening date? Really? That's a thing? The messages included, "I think you want some of me. Let's talk." Yeah. Think about that. That's somebody working for the city of Bloomingdale. "I think you want some of me. Let's talk. And you want to meet? I'm ready to. Let's throw down." I mean, what is this? Kimker said the city found the messages did not violate its ethics ordinance because Akridge sent them after work hours and from a private account. This goes back to a thing that I talk about a lot, which is the notion that anybody in some positions is ever off duty. And I apply that to myself, to be honest with you. But cops are never off duty. Because if if you're out of uniform and you go to a restaurant and you're an absolute jerk to everybody still knows you're a cop being an absolute jerk to everybody. Teachers, same thing. Teachers cannot be just out there going crazy on people. And I'd say most governmental officials, again, it's just you are and should be held to a different and higher standard. I also believe I am held to a different and higher standard. And so I try not to be this person in public. Try not to be this person in private, tell you the truth. "I just didn't feel like the city handled it to their own code procedurally," Kimker said. City records obtained by WJCL 22 News show officials verbally cautioned Akridge about making inappropriate communications, which they should have. They were right to do that. But they should have punished him as well. Kimker said after she criticized the city's decision on social media, Councilwoman Paula Knox confronted her at the restaurant and removed one of her campaign signs that have remained on display since the 2025 election. So let me explain this hissy fit to you for a second. Paula Knox, the guys at Roma Pizza, put Paula Knox's sign up front. They campaigned for her, in essence. They tried to help get her elected. Then she pitches a hissy and removes her own campaign sign from in front of the restaurant because the restaurant said, "Hey, I don't think you punished this guy who was threatening to beat up citizens." That's self-destructive. You know what that reminds me of? There were kids, and I would do this. I would be prone to a little fit when I was a little kid. I'd have a tantrum. And you know what stopped me from having tantrums when I was a kid? I realized that when I had a tantrum, I would break my own things. And my parents, being good parents, would not go buy me new things, because I would go, "This broke." And they're like, "Yes, you broke it. But I need a new one." They're like, "Nope, not getting a new one." And I learned not to pitch a hissy fit because I was breaking my own things. So I was the only one suffering. I still wasn't getting what I wanted, and I had fewer things that I wanted. So this to me is what Paula Knox did. She had people supporting her, and she decided to go and they were still leaving her sign on display, which, by the way, that's good because it's branding. It gets your name out there. It's still, because at some point you're going to go for re-election probably. And she went and said, "Oh, don't dare put my campaign sign up here because I back the guy who wants to beat up citizens." Dumb. Absolutely dumb. Oh, and it was in the restaurant? Okay, wow. So it wasn't even in front of the restaurant. It was she went into the restaurant and took her campaign sign down. And you think that's going to make you look good. All right. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Representative Townsend leads Kratom Committee's first meeting. This is the thing. He's very proud of this. He sent me a note, I guess, last week. that he'd been put in charge of this Kratom committee. And not only that, but the Kratom committee may actually have a meeting down here. He said it may be the first time he's looking into this. It may be the first time that a major committee has had a meeting down in the Golden Isles instead of up in Atlanta. So I thought that was kind of neat. And I congratulate him for that. And I congratulate him for his pursuit of this Kratom issue. Because it's ugly stuff. It really, and it's one of those things where you very much look at the things that are happening with it and the forces that he's against. And it's oof. Let's see. Still believe the good old boys are make believe. Why do people always misinterpret what I'm saying about that? I've tried to explain it over and over and over again. I do believe the good old boy network is make believe. Yes. Because what you find is people have relationships with people do things for other people. But some of those people don't do things for some of the other people because they're not friends and don't have a relationship. So there are people who do things corruptly. There are people who try to do things corruptly behind the scenes. But there's what you hear is the town is run by the good old boy network. And that's the thing that doesn't exist. In fact, I saw the other day, somebody was, I know who it was, a podcast boy, trying to put the DA in with the sheriff, and the DA and the sheriff are good old boys running this place. And it's like, ooh, you don't know any of the history of that. Congratulations. But I don't think there was ever really any good relationship there. So yes, I still believe a secret society running things secretly behind the scenes, all of unified purpose and vision, does not exist. As a UJ, yeah, and it should be. Marijuana be you and I will. Is that a Star Wars shirt? No, it's not a Star Wars shirt. You and I will just. Well, first off, I don't think it is anymore. But secondly, I would disagree with that. I think it's very destructive. What about the Ronald Reagan? Yeah, I want to bring Ronald Reagan on. I was talking about this when I first started doing some of these, but I know we've grown the audience since then. Thank goodness. But one of the things I do want to do is not only just do the Reagan piece, but augment it with Thomas Sowell and some other voices, Milton Friedman maybe, and really kind of augment it a little bit, because the problem is Reagan did somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 of those pieces, and what is available to the general public is about 65 or 70. Maybe more than that. I'll tell you right now, actually, it's about 80. It's about 80. And so, what winds up happening is if my rotation is right, there was a period where the rotation was wrong. I had to go in and fix it. But if my rotation was right, then basically you were getting to hear that one commentary twice a year. And even that may be a bit much, though. I think with some of them it's okay, because sometimes I'll get notes from people going, well, that one was great. And every so often a new one gets released to the public and I'll add it to the rotation. I actually wrote to the Reagan Library, where they have a complete archive of all of it, and said, hey, would you guys please release? And they have it digital, by the way. They digitized it. And I asked them if they would release it. Nope, but if you want to come to the Reagan Library, you are free to access any of them that you want. And it's like, well, go to the Reagan Library and listen to it. I want to spread the word. So, I just don't know. Shout out to Stan. Oh, yeah, good Stan. We love Stan. Absolutely. We love Henry Ball, by the way. Henry Ball went into the Killing Mike Chappell group, and or not killing Mike Chappell, defending Mike Chappell. Mike Chappell's innocent group. I was thinking of killing Henry. Defending Mike Chappell group, and put the word out that we needed subscriptions on YouTube, and people jumped at the opportunity, and we appreciate that. That's a great group of people there. And I fully back what they're doing. Yeah, we're at 796 already. I think we'll be good. Well, those messages confrontational. Yeah, you could out of context. Yes, you could certainly do that. Have you included the potential new show, a feature to include Jessica Szilagyi I think she brings powerful reporting for the North End. I think she does a great job. There are no plans for that, but I will continue following her reporting and talking about it. One thing that's not going to do is I'm going to put some people on, but it's not going to be a gajillion people on, just because. Not we anymore. They have a contract. I don't know what that is at this point. So some of these things just happen. And I don't see what they were. Started fun. No. I'm good. Not only I appreciate that. But the good news is I don't have an issue with capital. But the other good news is I have a lot of people who have reached out and specifically personally told me, if you need capital, I got it. So yeah, we're good on that front. The reality is doing what I want to do is not going to take that much money, because it's really about using an internet connection that already exists, using equipment that I already have. I think we're good. I mean, if you're just looking for shares in the company, maybe we'll talk down the road. Anyone notice the number of sheriff's vehicles in town this week? No, I've not noticed that. How's 17 looking, by the way, right now? If anybody can give me something new, please let me know. I've taken the stance that those who claim or sling out the good old boy network are people who fail to network, build rapport, or lack general social skills. Yeah, and that's kind of the problem. And again, it doesn't mean there aren't people that do things corruptly, and it doesn't mean that there aren't people who do things behind the scenes and try to do things under cover of darkness. But it's not this unified group of people who do this one thing and rule things in this one way. That's just not. It's not the case. And there are people who get lumped in with some of this good old boy network stuff that do not even like each other, much less, So yeah, no, I'm a big fan of not saying that there's a good old boy network that runs everything. What I've also found is a lot of times when people say that, it is because they have failed to do something they wanted to do or tried to do, and they have to come up with a reason that is not themselves as to why they failed to achieve whatever it is they were trying to do. So the man has to be the one that beat you. And that, by the way, not just in the good old boy network perspective, but you see that really across the spectrum. Think about that. Oh, I'm not succeeding because the man is holding me back. How often do you hear that? And how many different corners of society do you hear that from? A lot. Georgia Election Board adopts new rules targeting election mistrust. This is really weird. I don't know if you've seen this story or not. This is in the paper of record today. They adopted a lot of new rules, and it's stuff like, again, the hand-marked paper ballots thing. And look, I'm not going to go crazy about hand-marked paper ballots, but it's not some special magic elixir. It's not some special thing that's going to go out of its way to prevent fraud. In fact, my personal belief is it will be easier to cheat with hand-marked paper ballots than it would be with actual printed ballots. There are logs when things are printed, and hand-marked paper ballots are just hand-marked. So but I'm not going to go crazy. That's not a hill I'm going to die on. But then, this one requiring tabulation to occur directly from a paper ballot and non-electronic copy. Again, there are a lot of people trying to fix things that aren't broken just because they didn't like the results of an election. I think that's sad. I want to give kudos to the paper of record also, again, for they have kind of been crushing these editorials lately. This being one of them, the high school cell phone ban. It is understandable why some parents do not like this ban. Should an emergency arise, being able to directly reach out to your child has been one of the benefits of our technological process. The new rule, though, doesn't ban possession of a device, just its usage. And if an emergency situation were to happen, we would like to think school staff would be sensible and not punish someone calling for help during school hours. That's the one thing I would say you got a problem with. And that is, again, there are lots and lots and lots of opportunities for kids to be able to use phones. But if there were an emergency situation, like, again, everybody keeps pointing straight to the school shooting, you aren't helping anybody by having a kid call their parents in the event of a school shooting. I'm sorry. I know parents get emotional about this stuff. What if it was your child? That's always what if it was your child? That's, by the way, the worst argument ever that you can make, because there's no appeal to logic. It's only an appeal to irrationality and emotion. Don't do it. Heavy police presence at Fraser Homes in Savannah. Nothing new. Just saying. All right, let's take a look really quickly. Have a great weekend. By the way, Steve Glosson says, yeah, as he does. I don't know. I mean, we're going to self-syndicate and see what happens from there. We'll send you some pics from Cincinnati this week and visit. Oh, that's really neat. That is actually really, really cool. I like that. Have I heard from Warren? I have not heard from Warren. Kind of sad I have not heard from Warren. Very, 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 very sad. But yeah, I haven't heard from him. I'd like to. Good morning, Jamie. So we don't need to resurrect. No, I don't need a charity. I don't need a benefit. I'm good. Seriously. Look, we've put a little money away. And it's one of those things, we've put a little money away, and I'm not, will I dip into retirement a little? Maybe. But you know what? I really don't plan to retire anyway. So this is kind of a brand new start. I'm not going anywhere. Where would I be if I were going to start this venture and go, I'm going to retire when I'm 65 or whatever, because who would jump on board with me at that point? I plan on doing this as long as I can. So yeah, don't worry. I'm not going to say, I'll say this. I'm well enough funded. It's okay. Huge police presence on 95 between Glen and Savannah the past 2 days. Well, there is an article in the paper of record today that that talks about the amount of people that are here, like as of July 4th, which I found interesting because I thought after July 4th it would taper off, and I based that just on the sheer number of times we've been to Disney and that kind of thing. But apparently there is a lot of tourism here, and so there are a lot of police out there, doing their thing. Howdy, sir. What is the schedule like for this new program? I don't know yet. We'll work it out, but it probably will be very, very, very similar to what was on WGIG before, with the exception of there being fewer commercials. That's the best thing I can say about it. Right now I'm going on at 7:00 and I'm staying on until I'm done. And, but when we get on the radio, it'll be 6 to 9, and very, very similar to what we were doing before. Check out Kings Island while you're in Cincinnati. You guys are having conversations amongst yourselves here. For right now, not even really. I'm not even calling this 7 to 8, because my original plan for this stuff was to do 20 to 30 minutes a day. And so here we are at almost an hour. And the last couple of days we've done around an hour and a half. So what I'll say is I'm doing this. I'm doing it 7 until we just run out of stuff to talk about for the day. So anyway, and yeah, thank you. A new start. Yeah, I'll get that license plate made right away. I'm sure that won't do anything. In fact, I'll get the license plate made and I'll start doing the show live from Massengale Park if you'd like. Let's see. You play the guitar and I'll do the magic to raise money. Here's the thing. The great thing about me and my guitar playing is people will they will pay me to not play. So if I do need to raise money, that is an option. Is I can basically start playing and just tell people, all right, I'm going to play until you pay me to stop, and then we'll have money. Oh, we're at $7.99. Thank you, Linda. We are at $7.99 on YouTube now. So we're one away. That's good. 17 looks clear at the C word. Okay, so the crash that had happened earlier this morning, they're good. They're done. Haven't seen a single commercial yet. Oh, no, there aren't any commercials. I can't right now. Again, I'm not out yet, but officially, my severance package has not been agreed to yet. So We'll see. Let's see. Mrs. Rifen is well funded. I've had a little bit. Don't worry. Only one subscriber to go till you're allowed to. No, I'm not hanging out just to hang out to 800. I still got a bunch of stuff that we haven't talked about yet, but it would be nice to get to. We got 800. We hit 800. There we are. We're there. All right. So the next goal. Thank you, Peyton. Thank you. Retire. Let's see. Sitting, check. Talking, check. AC, check. Bourbon, Coffee. I will. And lady just crashed the party. Hi, young lady. She's literally just pounded through the door. She is an unstoppable force of nature. She's so funny. But no, this is not a silver goblet. This is a, the Yeti cups became a big deal. And actually, LaRon gave me one of the Yeti cups when they first a big deal. And I still have that one. I switched back and forth between that one and this one. Because LaRon was like, when they became a big deal, I don't know if you remember this or not, but they were a revelation to us. And LaRon got one. He's like, you've got to try this. This is unbelievable. And he was right. I use them every day now. But after I got that one of my bosses down in Melbourne, a guy who he's still with iHeart. And honestly, he's a guy who not only was a good boss, he became a good friend. And he's one of the, like there are a few people that I will put kind of on the Mount Rushmore of people who got me where I am, and which is jobless sitting on the internet rambling. No, I'm kidding. But he is one of those guys. And so he actually, at one point, he was going to do a side hustle of a laser etching business. And so he made this for me. And he did this with his little laser machine. And it was pretty neat. I mean, he did a good job. Eventually, I think he just got sick of the laser machine and got rid of it. But yeah, it's not a silver goblet. It's just it's the Ozark Trail version of that of those amazing Yeti mugs, which now have like all kinds of designs and graphics all over them. So craziness. Let's see. Let me take a look here. I just got to pick the RV. Oh wow, yeah, the RV was definitely involved, and the RV is toast. It is now in the parking lot at Lanier Plaza, and let me see if I can. I'm going to try something new here, because again, I'm learning stuff, just like you guys are. And I'm going to, can I do this? Wait. Let me see if I can do it this way. Can I go to this? No. This is the pro stuff here. Let me see if I can do it this way. And it may cut me off. I apologize if it does. I'm trying something new here. Trying something I have not done before. And it may mess me up. Wait. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to try and add these pictures so that we can put them up. And this will be kind of part of my learning curve too. But it will also be, the things we can do. And that's the great thing about staying on the internet, is that there are a number of just kind of new things we can do. And let's see. Okay, so that's there. Good. Okay. And then so we can wind up doing things like this on the fly. Lady, are you still? Yeah, she's still there. Okay. She sighed. If she's not getting attention, she sighs. And let's pick those two and upload them both. And there we go. Okay, so now they should be in the media asset library. So here is the aftermath of that crash this morning involving that RV that's been poking around on the Seaward and at the Sam's parking lot and all of that. Here's what it's looking like right now. That is horrid. Absolutely terrible. And I'll be honest with you, based on, I can't really tell a lot there, but it kind of looks like it wasn't his fault. Just because he was hit in the rear, mostly, it looks like anyway. So let's go back to that one. And that was this morning. That is right now. That is a very current picture. of the Lanier Plaza parking lot. You can see Aldi, West Marine, O'Reilly. So clearly, the OG smoke shop. So that is clearly Lanier Plaza right now. And again, there's the angle facing towards 17. Kind of to the left. Well, no, to the right of you would be the Truist ATM, just to get your bearings straight. And and to the left, obviously, the Causeway and that little plaza over there to the left, and Waffle House to the left. But that's it's pretty ugly. Pretty nasty situation. I'm surprised they were able to get that off the road so quickly and open things back up, but I'm glad they did. And it seems like everybody's okay. So, but now look, we've done a new thing. We've done a thing we hadn't done before. We're able to get live, like new, fresh pictures and put them in, and be able to use them right there. So pretty cool. Listen, I like hearing what you have to say. The Century Plan on Jekyll Star. What? Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. I did not know that either. And I was just on Jekyll last weekend. You would think I would know that. We'll do Shazbar. We need to rule the galaxy, Rife and Gloss and Nip next week. Yes, we need to do that. Absolutely. I'm going to play my guitar in over a year. If I join you, they'll pay double to make us stop. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. Let's do it. I think that's a celebration of 800 there. Can I do dad jokes at the end of the day? Oh, why not? Why not? Melissa, one of our South Carolina bureau chiefs. More puppers appearances, please. Come here. Come here. Oh. She wants me to rub her belly. So I don't think I'm going to get her over here. What is Palmer doing with his mornings now? I talked to Palmer for a good while yesterday, actually. I had a good chat with Palmer. And look, there are certain people that, you talk to, because Rush Limbaugh used to say, you don't take advice or go seek advice from people who have not succeeded. You don't seek advice from people who are failures throughout their lives and all the things they've tried to do. Oh, now you want to come over here. All right, come here. Hop up. Hop up. But anyway, Palmer has been a success. Palmer has succeeded in the things he's done. Now, he failed a lot on the way. But again, I think you learn from that kind of failure as well. But no, Palmer's a guy I trust to do things well and right. And, he's got the persona of a guy who's not really doing things well and right, but yet somehow he keeps doing things well and right. And so actually, yeah, I trust Palmer, and I take advice from Palmer. And I did talk to him yesterday. Clean and Green Golf Tournament, August 6th. Team slots, whole sponsor opportunities available. KGIB.org for info. Absolutely, Leah. I appreciate you. Appreciate what you do. You know that. Okay, yeah, I've got some of that. I don't know if that was you or not. Interesting. Okay. Good morning. What RV? Well, there's an RV that got in a crash on 17 this morning, and it is an RV apparently that has been sitting on the side of the Seaward oftentimes in recent days, and also at Sam's in the parking lot. So it's now no longer around. Good morning. Good morning. Can I get a number? And listen, for 5 years, I haven't asked for it. Oh man, I did promise I would limit it to 3 a day. I've done the 3 today, but you know what? Tomorrow, let's have a conference. No, not tomorrow. Monday. Good grief. That's one thing I will tell you is you do kind of lose track of the days. You do lose track of the days. Henry Ball, welcome, sir. And thank you, by the way, for spreading the word about the YouTube feed. What hit it? I don't know. I don't know. Poor guy, not only his transportation, but his home. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. City worker said it was a 4-car accident. Yeah. So what we see in the parking lot is kind of the aftermath, because what are you going to do with that thing? It's going to have to be kind of disassembled. You can't just, I don't know that you can just load it up on a flatbed like that. It pulled out by Waffle House and stopped. Okay. And then people just ran into it. Ugh. Awful. Awful. Now that the camper is gone, people on St. Simon's will have one less thing to worry about. Just stop it. Just stop it. How are you for vocals or quadruple number? There you go. We're at 8:05 already. Fantastic. Fantastic. Can't believe I actually missed the river now. I heard from him early on. And again, I think when we have a thing, I think he'll be back. I'll just say that. I think we'll hear from him again. Let's go into a couple of other things that I had prepped for this morning. The Pit for Play scandal is starting to, unfortunately, bear fruit from that evil tree. Nearly 30 DUI cases dropped. This is that, you know what this was. This was the guys, the state troopers that are being accused of using, or was it state troopers or was it deputies? Either way, and I think that at least they were getting advice from state troopers. I think it was state troopers that were doing it. Anyway, either way, they were basically doing pit maneuvers that may have been unnecessary and then having injury claims as a result of the pit maneuvers that they executed unnecessarily, and were getting insurance money for it, and weren't really having injuries in a lot of the cases. Here we go. The 4 former troopers, Tyler Bird, Joseph Curley, Isaiah Francois, and Hunter Waters, were the key witnesses in each of the dismissed cases. 27 DUI cases dismissed Thursday in Recorder's Court after 4 former Georgia State Patrol troopers failed to appear despite being subpoenaed. So we have 2 stories this morning of some kind of bad justice, we'll say, dropping the charges against Jamarly Riddle, which means that when there's no punishment for running drugs and driving 100 miles an hour, you're going to get more of that. So I hope nobody gets hit by somebody driving 100 miles an hour on the interstate. But if you do, remember, there was an opportunity to discourage it and it didn't happen. And in this situation, there's a bunch of people who, 27 people who have to pay no consequences for their DUI. And that, again, will be a problem long-term down the road. Let's see. One of the other ones I wanted to bring up, get into this morning is, yes, the shooting. We had this story yesterday. The update on it is that this guy turned himself in. That shooting took place at like 6:15 Wednesday. And there's a guy now named Weldon Roberts, who's 51 years old, who's turned himself in. The shooting victim, by the way, was shot in the leg. You shoot him in the leg. That's my Danny Glover impression. That's all I got, though. Actually, no, that's not all I've got for my Danny Glover impression. I forgot. Here's what I've got. And the reason I have that is because I was about a foot away from him when he said this, which was, "Don't do that, man. I ain't even supposed to be here. I just woke up. I'm just looking for somebody." Thank you. Thank you. That was because we were just a very quick version of this story. We were in Orlando. We were there because they were blowing up a building at the beginning of Lethal Weapon 3, and we were all college students. It was a group of 6 of us. 5 of them were film majors. I was a film minor, and we wanted to go down there and see a real Hollywood production in action. And we broke up into, this was at the direction of Joe Greco, and Brooke Durham, who were just phenomenal at just going and seeking and doing. And we broke up into groups of 2, and we were told to go around and look for people with walkie-talkies, because there was going to be somebody on the other end of the walkie-talkie. We wanted to meet the people making the movies and, learn from them and get them to, talk to us and give us some pointers and some tips and that kind of thing. Which, by the way, we wound up on the set for about 20 straight hours, and we met so many people and got so much advice and encouragement from people like Dick Donner, and it was just great. But anyway, I was paired with a guy named Dave Shahulian. Dave and I got along okay, but I just always kind of felt Dave was an idiot. And Dave didn't care much for me. I don't think either. But I got paired with Dave, and we went walking around, and we turned a corner, and there was Danny Glover. We turn a corner, and Danny Glover is just standing there. And so what does Dave do? Because he's brilliant. Dave turns and yells, "Hey, guys, look who I found." At which point we got the outburst from Danny Glover. "Don't do that, man. And Danny Glover was correct because it was a really stupid thing to do. Now, the funny thing is, and I've talked about this on the program years ago, but when the Biden administration first came in, if you remember, when they came in, the border was a complete disaster. You remember that. The border was just, you know, that was a huge, huge, huge thing. Well, and we always talked about it being, you know, there will be, you know, some fallout from people. And, you know, there are going to be people who are going to pay the price for this, hopefully, eventually, when the Biden administration finally figures out it's bad politics to let everybody you can through the border. And then they started firing people. And that's when we got the news stories. And I'm going to upload this fresh on the spot because, you know, I've realized now this morning that I can do this stuff. So here we go. And you're going to love this. The idiot guy who doesn't know not to scream that Danny Glover is sitting right there because it's kind of just, it's rude for one thing. Here we go. Here's the headline. Second official departs DHS as agency grapples with border surge and Afghanistan refugee influx. Who is that person? David Shahulian, a senior Biden official at the Department of Homeland Security, an influential figure on border issues. You know, everything I read at the time was that he was like one of the architects of the Biden border policy. So, and I talked about this at the time, as horrible as that Biden policy was, the guy who was the architect of it was part of my friends group in college. And I say part of my friends group in college because I think at the time I would have said, yes, Dave Shahulian and I are friends. But I can't, looking back on it, really say that, because I would say of all the friends group, he's the only one that I never really did anything with alone. And he had this one really weird outburst at me one night out of nowhere. So yeah, I kind of just, and after that outburst, I just kind of kept my distance from him within reason, because we were always at gatherings together and that kind of thing. But the guy who architected, and here's the funny thing, like he was a Florida State film major. He finished film school at Florida State, again, through the grace of God, because it just idiot. And then went to like Harvard Law, I think. Something crazy like that. And then immediately found himself working on Capitol Hill. And I think he's working for like NVIDIA or something now. But he did the whole, I'm leaving to spend time with my family thing. And I was like, yeah, that's what happens in Washington when you get booted for being bad at your job. You leave to spend time with your family. So anyway, yeah. So that's the Dave Shahulian story. I've held forth on it a little bit more at length at other times, so I'm not going to go crazy about it this time. SAV with a story on a fifth arrest being made on the Coligny Beach shooting. So they've 5 arrests now and 8 people shot. Yeah. Again, why would this kind of thing happen on Hilton Head Island? It's shocking to me, to be honest with you. 5th person arrested Wednesday in connection with the July 4th shooting at Coligny Beach that injured 8. Jacob Malik Johnson, 22, Beaufort, South Carolina, was arrested and charged with breach of peace, aggravated in nature, a Beaufort County Sheriff's Office spokesperson says. The shooting remains an active and ongoing investigation. Surely it does. Savannah fire responds after tree falls on home. Wait a minute. No, that can't be. Trees don't do that. Trees are perfect, wonderful creatures of nature. Trees are beautiful and wonderful and do good things only. Tree fell on top of an Edinburgh court home Thursday. 6 people inside, 4 children, 2 adults when the tree fell. No one was injured. The tree fell through the living room. That's got to be propaganda and lies, because trees never do anything bad, ever. This I wanted to get into. We have railed against Graham Plattner for a long time. And finally, Graham Plattner has stepped down. Blamed everybody else, by the way. And just a wonderful dissertation there on that could be done on the failings of this guy, not just as a candidate, but as a human being. Literally blamed everybody under the sun except, his own conduct. But he's out, and they're scrambling now to find somebody. They've got, I think, until the 27th to replace him. But the Republicans are like, let's hold my beer. Oh, sure, you've got Graham Plattner, but by golly. The Associated Press reports Victor Marx. Hey, Marie, and by the way, I think we all agree that nobody named Hitler should ever have a place of power. I think we should extend that to Marx. Probably Ingalls as well, and Stalin. Yeah, you don't really want to give a guy named Stalin a big position of authority. But anyway, Associated Press reports Victor Marks, a Marines veteran and self-described high-risk missionary, whose extraordinary claims about his past have been disputed and mocked, has won a Republican primary for Colorado governor. Marks, a pastor who runs a nonprofit that focused on hunting predators as well as rescuing, restoring, and empowering women and children who've been held captive by traffickers and other abusers, refused to provide evidence during the campaign for his boasts about the group's work overseas, or for his claim that when he was 7 years old, his abusive stepfather forced him to kill a man. That is the Republican nominee for governor of Colorado. Because the Republicans were like, Graham Plattner, but watch this. And still, I mean, I guess he's not a Nazi, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Let's see really quickly. Oh no. So people decided to jump in on the dad jokes. I just don't know. If I got a number, what is it? Roger, you did get a number, and that number is 163. 163. I got a refund check a few years ago from a seatbelt violation on 341. Turns out the Georgia trooper wrote the ticket, was involved in the cheating scandal. I remember the cheating scandal. Yeah. You know what's weird? I got pulled over one time for a seatbelt violation, and I had my seatbelt on. It was one of the weirdest, and I was on 341 actually, oddly enough, and I got pulled over, and I was wearing at the time I was driving a blue Accord, and the seatbelts were navy, and I was wearing a khaki shirt. Now, don't question my fashion choices here, but just understand I was wearing a khaki shirt, and it's you almost look like the safety patrolman in the hallways at school with that navy blue seatbelt and the guy pulls me over and of course I take off the seatbelt to get my stuff out of my pocket, and he's like, "You have your seatbelt on?" I said, "I didn't notice you had your seatbelt on." I'm like, "No, I had my seatbelt on." Like, "I didn't see your seatbelt on." I was like, "No, I had my seatbelt on. I swear it was on. Here it is. It's right here." And he let me go, but it was very, very odd. Very, very odd. Oh no. What? Have I talked to Mitch? You talking about McConnell? No, I have not. There was a rash of people who apparently did talk to him on the phone again. And I had my piece on that the other day. It was just like, I hope it's true. I hope that they really did, because if it turns out they're lying, just to perform some political duty or something, people like, I would hate to see Scott Jennings' credibility shredded. I would hate to see Scott Jennings just not be believable anymore. But I will tell you, if it turns out he lied about having a 20-minute conversation with Mitch McConnell, because I've seen some people say, well, they say they had a 20-minute conversation with him, but it doesn't say he had the conversation with them. And, if they're using that kind of shading, it's just as bad as a lie to me. Just as bad as a lie. Billy, do you have a number? I don't know. All right, I'm going to look this up. I don't know if you have a number. No, you do not have a number. So tomorrow, check into it, and we'll see what we can do. Commute home from South Bryan County to Bullitt County saw 4 GSP with vehicles pulled over. Yeah, it's that time of year. It is that time of year. No doubt about it. If you vote Republican for Colorado governor, does that make you a Marxist? It absolutely does. Boys, no, it wasn't a Boy Scout uniform. That's what I say. Don't criticize my fashion choice on this, but because it's not a Boy Scout uniform. I've never worn a Boy Scout uniform. I never got past Cub Scouts. I failed out. Who hadn't killed a man by the ripe old age of 7? Yeah, exactly. Who among us? How can you cast the first stone when verified? That's right. She did. I love trees. You're right. I forgot about that, but you're absolutely right. You wear a lot of tacky shirts. You know what's funny about that is I had a meeting yesterday, and it was a meeting where it was necessary for me to dress well. Nice shirt, tie, slacks. And the meeting was at 12:30. And so I didn't eat lunch beforehand, because I know me, and I know that lunch would be all over it. And then I would show up at the meeting and they'd be like, "This guy's got lunch all over his shirt." So I decided to wait until after the meeting for lunch, which again is pretty late for me, because I usually am an 11 o'clock lunch guy, because A, traditionally been getting up at 3 o'clock, and B, I like to beat the rush. And, you go to lunch at noon, guess what? The rest of civilization is as well. So I went, after I finished the meeting, I went to Marshside, and the girl's seating. I came in and she looked at me and she goes, "Oh, you're here a little bit late." And I was like, "Yes." And she's like, "And you're not wearing your crazy shirt." I said, "It's okay. I brought a change. I'll go change into my crazy shirt in just a little bit. Don't worry about it." Call him on air. Who? Oh, yeah. We got to get a phone set up, and that will happen at some point. We get Collins and Jackson elected next fall. Two alternatives, absolutely unacceptable. Yeah, you're right. You're right. There are very few hills I would die on. Faith is one. Anita is not. What? Is another? Is that what it is? Let's see. We need to help the elderly man with a camper now. He doesn't have a place to live. Well, that's that is certainly a thing that people can do, no doubt. One of the GSP I saw pulling people over was a 26 Mustang Dark Horse. Very nice. Yeah, boy. I bet they fought for that one. I bet there was a tussle to see who got that one. I'd be willing to bet anyway. So yeah, that's everything I've got for today. It's everything I brought for today. So again, thank you for getting us over 800. We are on course. We want 1,000, plus, because somebody will unsubscribe at some point. So we want, 1,000 to end some change. But we're at 807 right now. And I just want to thank you, because yesterday, Faith and Anita, 2 hills you would die on, Faith and, okay, gee, it was a dad joke. And I missed it. Okay, so let's go back and review this one. There are very few hills I would die on. Faith is one, Anita is no. And he's referring to Faith Hill and Anita Hill. Okay, I got it now. Okay. I think I turned my sense of humor, or maybe my sense of humor was on, but that, I don't know. Anyway. That having been said, I'm going to get out of here. Now, weekend before last, I said I'm going to not be here until Monday. And then I cranked it up for about 20 minutes on Saturday to talk to I don't know if you saw that video that I did Saturday before last. I didn't do anything on 4th of July weekend except take calls. Oh, good grief. But I did that video because I was poking around the internet, and I was looking to see, actually I was looking for people that I know who were let go from iHeart. And I found a few that, again, it just kind of blows me away. Some of the people that they let go who are so good at what they do. But I started finding videos that people were doing where they were going on the air, or going on, like Facebook Live and YouTube and stuff. And they were crying. And, I don't know what I'm going to do now. I don't know what I'm going to do next. I don't know. And it was just like, it made me angry that, and it didn't make me angry at the company for putting them in that position. It made me angry that was their response. That when somebody kicks you and you're down, you just let them keep kicking you. Or you just start kicking yourself. When they're done kicking you, they've moved on. They don't even know who you are anymore. And it kind of set me off to kind of record a thing to tell people, if you're in the situation that so many of us are in, yeah, it is. Yes, it absolutely is. Absolutely. It is a Godfather moment. Oh, what do I do, Godfather? What do I do? You can act like a man, but which he did to Johnny Fontaine. It just bothered me that these guys were just letting themselves be beaten and then just crawling up and curling up into a ball and continuing to allow themselves to be beaten. When this is the moment when you go out and you strike out and you do your own thing and you go and you win, and you go and you beat them in their market. I plan on going and generating a lot of revenue for my new endeavor that is money that would have been going to iHeart. And, I plan on beating them. I plan on outdoing them in the ratings. I plan on, decimating their listenership when the time comes, because I'm going to compete with them. And it really bothered me to watch people just kind of curl up in a ball and feel sorry for themselves. It got me. So I just did a thing to encourage people to not do that. And if you are going to do it, don't put it out in front of the entire world, because it doesn't make you. I'll just say this, and maybe I'm wrong. And again, I'm a different kind of guy. I'll admit that. I'm not normal. But if I am I was a hirer for over 20 years at that building. And if I were looking into someone's history, and I always check social media footprints for people when I was hiring. If I were to look around and see that, it would not encourage me to think this is a person who's resilient. This is a person who can respond under pressure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It would tell me, in fact, kind of the opposite. This person is, folding like Stacey Abrams' lawn chair. So I just, I made that video because I wanted to encourage these guys to not blubber and not dwell and not, to start looking ahead, start looking to that next thing. Because if you've done the right things through your career and you've acquired the right tools and you have the belief in your talent and your abilities, you are going to make something happen, but you have to do it. And whether it's, and it may not be what I'm trying to do, which is I'm trying to own my own thing. It may be that it's you're out there just trying to get a job with somebody else, and that's where you set the bar. That's fine. But do that and believe in that. Don't just, don't just hide. Don't go away. Don't curl up in a ball. Be somebody, and this really can apply to anybody. Be somebody who is going to look for that next thing. Be somebody who's prepared to go after the next thing. While you're doing the current thing, serve your community. It was one of the things we talked about. It was one of the things I talked about in the meeting that I had at 12:30 yesterday was serving your community. When you serve your community, when you're good to your community will be good to you. And, I've lived that lately. I have experienced that. I can't tell you how many people have and continue to check in on me. How are things going? Are you okay? What's going on? What's that? We support you. We're behind you. It's just, and it's all because all right, I'm going to start getting philosophical here. Sorry. I don't want to do this, but I don't want to get too serious, but I got to get serious for a second. When you're in broadcasting, you're given a license by the federal government to utilize the air to make money. And I don't own the air. You own the air. The people own the air. And so when you get that license to use the people's air to make money, you have an obligation. And the FCC does a whole thing, you have to show you're supporting the community. But really, there's a moral obligation, I think you have, to support your community, to do things for your community, to report on that. When I'd sit people down, if we had a hurricane coming or tropical storm coming, anything like that we had to cover, the ice storm a few years ago, or the turkey giveaways, we would sit down and plan this stuff out. And I would always say at the beginning of the meeting, and people who worked for me can tell you this, I would always say at the beginning of the meeting, guys, we're about to go do that thing that we're here to do. We're about to go do the reason we do what we do. We're about to go do it. And that was always my message to our guys when I had a staff that actually worked for me. That was always the message when we were getting ready to do some big coverage of again, dealing with a storm or anything like that. It was always, this is why we do what we do. If that's been your mindset in broadcasting and you were part of this awful tidal wave, your community will know it and they'll give back to you. But if you were selfish and you just showed up thinking that you're the star of the show and you don't owe anybody anything, you don't owe the community anything, then yeah, you're probably not going to have a lot of people show up for you. It's pretty simple. But anyway, the immediacy of the letting go seems cruel. Maybe a notice of sorts, but like I said, God is opening. Yeah, well, here's the thing about that. I kind of understand it because the programming department of iHeart, the top programming guy at iHeart got several hundred emails. They got a lot of pushback, and that was from doing things the way they did it. Now, imagine if they came to me and said, "Hey, you're going to be your position is going to be eliminated, and in 2 weeks you're not going to have a job, but we're going to let you do the show for 2 weeks." And then I go on the air the next day and go, "Hey, I've got 2 weeks left. Let's say bye to each other." Then they'd be dealing with that for 2 weeks. You'd be dealing with clients quitting for 2 weeks. And that's why they do it that way. I get it. It does seem cruel to a certain extent, but the reality is, it's easier on them to do it the way they did it, sadly. And that's just a reality, because they could not have endured 2 weeks of just basically somebody going on the air and railing against them, which is what would have happened, because the callers would have railed as well. So yeah, but yes, God has completely opened a new door. And the funny thing is, it was about 30 seconds of, oh no. As I'm having the phone call, I'm starting in my mind to put together the next thing. As they're telling me the position is going away, or as they said in the later paperwork, which I love, we've started an employee termination program and you were selected to participate. Which is just, it's just the most absurd corporate thing you've ever seen in your life. But, I had maybe 30 seconds of, oh no. And then after that, it just really was, you know what? I'm going to move on and do my thing, because I've been thinking about it for a long time anyway. Jesse, I would have checked out on you if you'd cried on the air. I'd have checked out on me if I'd cried over the air, to tell you the truth. I appreciate that. And we're going to do it. We're going to do everything we can to. And the great thing about it is we've had a lot of support for it. So over victim mentality. Yeah, I don't understand victim mentality. And look, I get it. And I've had to learn this over the years, that we're all wired a little differently. But I'm just not that guy. I'm just not wired that way. And sometimes that gets me in trouble. I've talked about this before in the past, where I didn't understand people who dealt with depression. Didn't understand it because I'm not wired to be depressed. I don't get, really, really, really depressed. I have bad days, but I don't really deal with depression. And I didn't really have, I had trouble relating to that kind of thing. It really took until the week of the Ahmaud Arbery video, when I put the Ahmaud Arbery video out, and there was suddenly a firestorm around me. And I had even then I had people reaching out and offering support. But the reality was, there was a firestorm around me, and I didn't know how it was going to turn out. And I knew that I had absolutely no control over it. And it was kind of during that week where I went, okay, this must be what depression is for people, that there are just things happening. You don't want a lot of the things to happen around you, and you have no control over it whatsoever. And so I kind of got a taste of what depression was like, and I understand it, and I sympathize with those guys more now because I had that. But yeah, I know some of us are just wired one way, and some of us are wired another way, and there's probably, millions of different ways people are wired, but I just don't get wired to be depressed. I'm not wired to be down. I'm not wired to be negative. I can't be that guy. It's just not in my wiring. Got time for politics now? Well, I did say I'd have to give up my lucrative broadcast career to do that, but the problem is I'm still seeing a lucrative broadcast career ahead of me. So no, I don't have time for politics now. And, some people don't want me to be another member of the good old boys club anyway. Former employer lost a contract at the site I worked at, and I was down about it for a couple of weeks.
Then the new company came, gave me a $2 raise to stay, and now have better management. See, things work out. Things, and you have to make things work out. Remember years ago when doing hurricane damage in Brunswick as an AT&T employee, I would always remember people say that to us. You came by and gave us water. Yeah, I did. You remember that? Do you really? Do you remember that? Because we did. One of the things we did, we loaded up a cooler during one of the, and I think it might have been Irma, but we loaded up a cooler full and went out to the guys who were working the lines, and we gave them water because we knew that it was hot, and we knew they were dealing with stuff, and we knew, not everything was open. And we had stockpiled a bunch of water just in case we needed it, and then we didn't need it. And so we went around and gave it out to again, those are the things you do for your community when you care. And it comes back to you. They stop it, Mrs. Rifen. Yes, I hear they have been dealing with that regardless, but it would be worse if they gave me 2 weeks to sit there and talk about the fact that I wasn't here. Yes, they have an employee termination program, and I was selected to participate in it. They also let us know that there were several people who were not selected to participate in it. So, oh, stop it. Just stop it. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Not doing it. Mr. Blocker, I love that you've been there for long, and you're very right. You are very right. Very similar experience when they shut down the Pinova. Yeah, I had friends at Pinova, and I knew how they felt, and they felt gutted. And they, they couldn't go on the internet. They couldn't just immediately go on the internet and start producing resin. At the very least, I could jump on the internet and start doing, well, this is similar to what I do, and eventually I'm going to monetize it, and I'm going to be okay. Pinova guys were in a lot worse position. Most definitely. What's great is, no, she's not. And let me just tell you something. She is... you want me to get emotional? Because, like earlier, they were like, if you'd cried on the air, I would have bailed on you. If you want me to get emotional, you let me spend 5 minutes talking about that amazing woman. I don't deserve her. I don't think the world deserves her. She is just gold. I'm not who I am without her. And she has been ridiculously supportive throughout this whole thing. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. Now you're going to get in trouble. I don't get the depression thing either, and I get labeled hard ass. No, but here's the thing. I do understand it more now. And because there just is a sense that everything is kind of happening around you. A lot of them are things you don't want to happen around you, and you have no control over any of it, and you can't get control over it. There are things you just can't get control over. And so, really the first time I got a little taste of, you probably need to be more attentive to this, was I had a dear, dear, dear friend, one of the longest serving friends I've ever had, who admitted, when we were having kind of a friendly conversation amongst a group of us, admitted that he had contemplated committing suicide. I never would have pegged this guy for suicide because he's my buddy and we know each other. We go back forever. Would that really be a thing? And turns out, yeah, it was. And that's when I said, this is odd. And then, a couple of years later, we had the situation with the video that I just, again, I couldn't get away from people. Like, people were beating down my door, and I didn't want them to beat down my door. I wanted them to watch the video and draw their own conclusions from there. But in the meantime, yeah, it was difficult. So I understand it more now, and I sympathize with it more now. I don't, again, really experience it, but I kind of had that taste of it during those few days back in 2020 that, yeah, now I get it. All right. So we've gone on forever, and it's Friday, and it's Low Prep Friday. I honest to goodness, I really am. That's the funny thing. Is like on the radio, when it hits the top of the hour, I got to go, and that's it. I'm done. But here I can do like 87 false endings and try to get out a bunch, and then actually ultimately not get out. That's not good. So let me just say again, I'm going to get out of here. Have a great weekend. My belief is that I will not be on this weekend, but you never know. Something may motivate me, which is why we got into this extra conversation here. Something may motivate me to jump on board and do that. I apologize in advance if I do jump on board this weekend. But also, please make sure that you subscribe, like the video, subscribe on YouTube. We are looking now to get to 900. We're at 809 already. Remember yesterday when we closed out, we were right at 700, and we've already added 109 more. Maybe over the weekend we can get to 900 and start next weekend in the 900s and go towards 1,000. Hey, Liz, good to see you. All right, we're going to get out of here. Have a great weekend. Stay cool because it is another hot one. No doubt about it. See you guys. Have fun. And look, don't get down about anything, okay? Things that are sad, things that are bad, they have the potential to be something good. You have to decide whether you're going to do that. Take care.